In the high-stakes world of business leadership, we often imagine that success is the result of massive strategic overhauls, billion-dollar ideas, or charismatic genius. But beneath the surface of every successful company and executive lies a quiet, consistent force that does far more heavy lifting than we realize: habits. As an executive, you don't rise to the level of your ambitions, you fall to the level of your systems. And at the heart of every effective system is a collection of simple, daily choices, the kind that happen almost without thinking, yet shape everything you build, how you lead, how you decide, how you grow. This audiobook is not about revolutionizing your business overnight. It's about the atomic, the smallest actionable units of behavior that compound into exponential business results. Inspired by the groundbreaking insights of James Clear's Atomic Habits, this executive adaptation will help you apply the core principles of habit mastery directly into your leadership practice, organizational culture, and business systems. We'll examine how tiny behavioral shifts, repeated consistently, lead to outsized results, how a single habit can change how your team communicates, how improving just 1% in your decision-making process can yield major returns, how the culture of your organization is actually built, not by slogans, but by what you, the leader, do repeatedly. Whether you're a CEO, a founder, a senior executive, or a rising leader, the tools in this audiobook are designed to help you build habits that reinforce your identity as a strategic, respected, and effective leader. Eliminate decision fatigue through automated excellence. Create environments that encourage innovation, performance, and accountability. Break the subtle patterns that drain focus, waste time, and hinder growth. This isn't theory. These are field-tested principles backed by behavioral science and business case studies, made practical for people who don't have time to waste. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear. As you listen to this audiobook, think of your leadership not as a performance, but as a habit machine. The quality of your decisions, the depth of your vision, the loyalty of your team, all of these are built from the tiny behaviors you practice daily. Let's build those habits, and make you unstoppable. Welcome to Atomic Habits for Business Executives. Written and published by the Zillion Pro. Chapter 1. Identity-Based Leadership. Becoming the kind of executive you admire. True behavior change is identity change. James Clear. When you strip away the job title, the strategy decks, and the boardroom decisions, what you're left with is the core identity of a leader. And that identity, not your tactics, is what ultimately drives long-term success. In the world of business, we're taught to set goals, launch this product, hit that revenue mark, expand to this region. But goals don't sustain behavior. Identity does. And here lies a crucial insight. You become the kind of executive who wins, not by chasing outcomes, but by embodying the type of person who naturally produces those outcomes. Let me explain. The shift from outcome-based to identity-based habits. Most leaders operate from the outside in. I want to build $1 billion company, so I'll work longer hours. I want my team to perform better, so I'll monitor them more closely. I want to be seen as visionary, so I'll talk more in meetings. But identity-based leadership works the other way around. Instead of asking, what do I want to achieve, it asks, who do I want to become? And then it aligns your habits to that identity. For example, if you want to be seen as a strategic leader, you don't just set strategic goals, you build the habit of scheduling deep thinking time every week. If you want to be a respected communicator, you don't wait for the next presentation, you practice clarity in every email, every conversation. If you want to be a culture builder, you don't just announce values, you consistently live them, especially when no one's watching. The mirror test, who are you becoming? Ask yourself, are your daily actions shaping you into the leader you aspire to be, or into someone merely reacting to chaos? Do your habits reflect the traits you want others to associate with your leadership? If not, it's time to rewrite the script, not by trying to become someone else, but by gradually reinforcing the traits you value with repeated, visible action. Remember, every action you take is a vote for the type of leader you wish to become. If you habitually delegate well, you are casting votes for being a trust-building leader. Show up prepared, you are voting for being a professional and respected executive. Listen more than you speak, you are voting for being a wise and emotionally intelligent leader. One vote won't decide the outcome, but a pattern of votes does. Over time, you build an internal narrative. This is who I am, and here's the real power. Once your identity aligns with excellence, your habits become easier. You no longer have to force discipline, it flows from who you are. Practical framework, building identity-based habits. Here's a 3-step method you can apply immediately. 1. Define your leadership identity. Ask, who is the kind of leader I want to be? Examples: a visionary strategist, a culture builder, a decisive problem solver, a trusted mentor. Choose no more than 2 or 3 traits to focus on. 2. List the habits that reinforce that identity. Ask, what does that kind of leader do every day? Example: a visionary strategist blocks time weekly to think long term, avoids distractions and busyness, reads or studies consistently. 3. Start small, stay consistent. Attach the new habit to an existing routine. For example, during morning coffee, review the day's top priorities. Make it so easy that you can't fail. Identity change is a gradual process, but once it locks in, the results become effortless. Closing thoughts: your habits are your legacy. At the end of your career, people won't remember the number on your revenue chart. They'll remember what kind of leader you were. Were you consistent or reactive? Empowering or controlling? Visionary or scattered? You're not just running a business. You're shaping a legacy, one tiny habit at a time. You don't need to work harder to become the kind of executive you admire. You need to act consistently like they would, starting today. Let's build that identity. Let's lead from the inside out. Chapter 2. The habit loop in business. Cue, craving, response, reward. Every habit begins with a cue. The cue triggers a craving. The craving motivates a response. The response delivers a reward. James Clear. Behind every repeated behavior, from how you start your meetings to how you make decisions under pressure, lies a hidden cycle. This cycle, known as the habit loop, governs both your personal performance and the cultural behaviors of your organization. In business leadership, understanding this loop isn't just useful, it's strategic. It allows you to design behaviors that stick, break patterns that drain energy, and build systems that scale through consistency. Let's unpack how this 4-step pattern, cue, craving, response, reward, plays out in your role as an executive. Step 1. The cue, triggering the pattern. The cue is the signal that initiates the behavior. It's what your brain uses to recognize it's time to act. In business, cues are everywhere. A calendar notification triggers a leadership meeting. A late email from a client triggers anxiety and overreaction. A KP dashboard alert triggers a sales review. Silence in a meeting triggers the need to speak, even if you shouldn't. Cues can be visual, auditory, emotional, or contextual. The problem is, many leaders are unaware of their most consistent cues. And when you're unaware of a cue, you're powerless to change the behavior it triggers. Power move. Start identifying the cues that lead to your most unproductive habits. Do you snap at your team only after checking overwhelming emails in the morning? That inbox might be your cue. Do you micromanage only after client feedback? That feedback might be your trigger. Once you become cue conscious, you regain control. Step 2. The craving, the emotional driver. Cues alone don't cause action. What drives behavior is the craving, the emotional desire behind it. In business, cravings often masquerade as logical decisions. But peel back the surface and you'll find emotional drivers. You don't just respond to that Slack message because it's urgent. You crave control. You don't just interrupt a meeting. You crave recognition. You don't just check your phone again. You crave relief from uncertainty. Craving is the fuel of the habit. If you can understand what you're really craving in a moment, control, certainty, progress, respect, you can begin to meet that craving with better, more strategic responses. Executive insight: you can't eliminate cravings, but you can redirect them. For example, instead of craving the dopamine rush of solving low-level problems, train yourself to crave the clarity and long-term leverage of saying no. Step 3. The response, the action you take. This is the actual behavior, the meeting, the decision, the comment, the habit in the motion. If the cue is client email, and the craving is reduced tension, the response might be firing off a rushed reply, or taking a breath and scheduling a call. The quality of your leadership is shaped at the level of response. That's where the rubber meets the road. Your decision to pause, pivot, or proceed defines your growth trajectory. Here's the key: you don't need to eliminate bad responses, just make better ones easier to perform. 1. To stop overreacting. Build the habit of waiting 5 minutes before replying to emotional messages. 1. To avoid poor decisions. Build a 2-question checklist before approving any strategic initiative. 1. To encourage deeper team thinking. Build a habit of asking, "What do you think?" before offering your view. Small responses, big ripple effects. Step 4. The reward, reinforcement that locks the habit. Every habit ends with a reward, the satisfaction, relief, or result that tells your brain, that was worth it. Do it again. In business, rewards can be feeling decisive after taking action, seeing metrics move in the right direction, receiving praise from a stakeholder, avoiding discomfort or stress. But here's the twist: not all rewards are good. Many bad executive habits are rewarded in the short term. Micromanaging gets immediate control, but kills long-term trust. People pleasing avoids conflict, but weakens your leadership stance. Overworking brings a dopamine hit, but drains your team. To rewire your behavior, you must start associating true rewards with strategic action. Leadership practice: create intentional rewards that reinforce better responses. After a difficult but strategic decision, log the win and share it with your mentor. After delegating effectively, celebrate your freed up time with a 10-minute creative break. After leading a focused meeting, reflect on the clarity it created, and repeat. The stronger and more immediate the reward, the stronger the habit becomes. Applying the habit loop to organizational culture. This isn't just about personal habits. The habit loop is baked into how your organization operates. Here's an example. Cue: a crisis hits. Craving: the team wants reassurance. Response: everyone waits for the CEO to solve it. Reward: crisis averted, dependency reinforced. What's the result? You become the bottleneck. The habit cycle trains your team to be reactive and dependent. To reverse it, change the cue. Make strategic plans visible and proactive. Reframe the craving. Train the team to value autonomy. Redesign the response. Empower decentralized decision making. Redefine the reward. Celebrate independent wins, not just executive heroics. Culture is nothing more than a shared set of habits. And those habits are built, or broken, through this loop. Closing thoughts: build loops that scale you, not drain you. If you want to lead smarter, scale faster, and grow sustainably, start thinking in loops, not leaps. Every bad executive habit you want to break is trapped in this cycle. Every great leadership tree you want to build lives in it too. Your job isn't to force better behavior through willpower. Your job is to design better loops. Spot the cue. Understand the craving. Improve the response. Reinforce the reward. Master this, and you won't just change habits, you'll reshape how your business thinks, acts, and wins. Let's build your next loop, one behavior at a time. Chapter 3: Systems over Goals. Building businesses that run on process. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear. Goals are great for setting direction, but they are terrible for making progress. This statement may feel counterintuitive, even offensive, In the world of business where goal setting is king, quarterly revenue targets, yearly OKRs, KPIs, and investor forecasts dominate the conversation. But here's the hard truth. Goals may inspire, but only systems sustain. Let me explain. The limitations of goal-driven business. Goals are outcome-focused. They define what you want: increase sales by 30%, reduce churn by 15%, launch a new product by Q3. All good intentions, but the problem lies not in what you want, but in how you plan to get there. Here's why relying on goals alone can sabotage your long-term success as an executive. 1. They create a false binary, success or failure. You either hit the goal, or you don't. There's no room for growth, adjustment, or learning in between two. They delay satisfaction. You're always chasing the next milestone, never fully present or content. 3. They encourage short-term thinking. Teams may hit quarterly targets while undermining the health of the long-term vision. 4. They are temporary by nature. Once achieved, motivation evaporates. What then? What you need as a business executive is not just vision, but a system to bring that vision to life every single day. What is a system? A system is a set of repeatable processes that drive consistent behavior and results, regardless of short-term circumstances. Where goals ask, what do I want to achieve? Systems ask, what process will consistently lead me there? Example, goal, build a high-performing sales team. System, a hiring playbook plus weekly coaching sessions plus structured performance reviews plus clear incentive structure. Goal, improve product innovation. System, cross-functional ideation meetings plus 90-day product sprints plus regular user feedback loops. Systems remove friction. They create predictability. They compound outcomes. The best executives don't chase outcomes, they build machines that produce outcomes repeatedly. The system mindset, thinking like an architect, not a gambler. A gambler places a bet and hopes it works. An architect designs a structure so that it works, over and over again. If your business constantly relies on your intervention, you don't have a system. You have a personality cult. System thinking empowers scale. It means that performance no longer depends on your mood, presence, or energy level. Instead, excellence becomes baked into the process. Here's what that looks like in real business life. Meetings that run on a set cadence with a fixed structure, less confusion, more outcomes. Onboarding that follows a checklist, faster ramp up, fewer mistakes. Strategy sessions that follow a repeatable framework, better alignment, clearer decisions. Want to scale? Stop working harder. Start designing smarter. Replace goal obsession with system consistency. Let's take a look at a few common executive scenarios. Goal-focused executive. I want to grow the business to $10 million in revenue. System-focused executive. Every week, we'll analyze 3 growth levers, run 1 controlled experiment, and evaluate pipeline friction across departments. Which one do you think actually gets results? The system-focused leader. Because when systems are right, results become inevitable. Practical executive systems you can build today. Here are core areas where higher leverage systems outperform ad hoc action. 1. Decision-making systems. Use a 3-question filter before approving any initiative. 1. Does this align with our long-term strategy? 2. Can it be measured and reviewed? 3. Who owns the outcome? Implement a decision journal. Record key decisions and revisit after 90 days. 2. Hiring and team development systems. Standardize interview formats and scorecards. Create 30, 60, 90-day onboarding blueprints. Set weekly or bi-weekly leadership coaching calls. 3. Performance and execution systems. Daily team stand-ups, 15 minutes, focused on progress blockers. Quarterly business reviews with a structured template. Monthly retrospectives to capture learnings and adjust strategy. 4. Culture and communication systems. Weekly internal newsletter from the CEO. Peer-to-peer recognition systems. Pulse surveys with consistent action steps. Systems remove guesswork. They create predictability in performance and culture. Closing thoughts. Build the engine, let it run. Stop obsessing over the scoreboard. Focus on the playbook. Don't ask, did we win today? Ask, did we run the system today? Winning is a byproduct of a well-run machine. Design systems for clarity. Design systems for consistency. Design systems that work even when you're not in the room. Because great businesses are not built by goals. They are built by leaders who master systems. Let's build yours. Chapter 4. The 1% Rule. Scaling with small, strategic improvements. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. James Clear. Imagine this. If you improve something by just 1% every day, you won't just be 365% better by the end of the year. Thanks to the power of compounding, you'll be over 37 times better. This isn't motivational fluff. It's mathematics. It's also the single most overlooked strategy in executive leadership. Most executives chase breakthroughs, the next big product, the perfect hire, the silver bullet strategy. But the leaders who build empires understand something different. Small, consistent, strategic improvements scale better than massive, infrequent overhauls. Welcome to the 1% Rule, the habit of incremental advantage. Small improvements, exponential gains. Here's how the 1% Rule plays out in real business terms. Improve your sales pitch by 1% every day. Higher close rates over time. Improve your meeting efficiency by 1% each week. Dozens of hours saved monthly. Improve your employee onboarding by 1% per cycle. Faster productivity, stronger culture. Improve your customer experience by 1% per quarter. Compounding loyalty and retention. The compound effect kicks in not immediately, but inevitably. The only thing standing between your business and explosive results is your commitment to small, strategic, repeatable improvements. The British cycling case study, marginal gains in action. One of the most powerful real-world examples of the 1% Rule comes from British cycling. Before 2003, British cyclists had won only one Olympic gold medal in over 100 years. Then Dave Brailsford took over and introduced the philosophy of aggregation of marginal gains. They started improving every area by just 1%. Bike seat design. Rider nutrition. Training recovery. Even the pillow athletes slept on. The result, 60 Olympic medals in 10 years, 5 Tour de France wins. A transformation from mediocrity to domination. And it wasn't magic, it was intentional habit design applied consistently. The executive advantage, why 1% works for leaders. As a business executive, your schedule is packed. Your responsibilities are high. You don't need more pressure, you need smarter levers. The 1% Rule gives you power without overwhelm. It allows you to make high-impact moves without massive disruption. Instead of asking, how do I scale everything at once? Ask, what's the next small improvement I can make in this key area? Great leaders don't react with force. They refine with intention. Executive areas ripe for 1% improvement. 1. Meetings. Trim 5 minutes off each meeting. Add a clear agenda and decision tracker. End with clear action items and ownership. 2. Communication. Improve the clarity of your executive memos. Standardize email subject tags, for example, action for your information, decision needed. Reduce reply times by 10% through better templates or delegation. 3. Team performance. Run a brief weekly one-on-one check-in. Implement a single question pulse survey. Recognize one contribution per week publicly. 4. Customer experience. Improve response time by 1%. Add a surprise thank you email to one client per week. Simplify your checkout or onboarding flow by one step. None of these changes sound revolutionary until they compound over weeks and months. Identify your 1% zones. Ask yourself, where in my business are we good enough, but not excellent? What task do I repeat daily or weekly that could be smoother? What pain points do customers or employees quietly tolerate? These are your 1% zones, low friction areas with high upside potential. Create a habit of scanning for these. Better yet, involve your team in the process. Culture tip: start every team meeting with one improvement idea, not a complaint, not a big initiative, just a 1% shift. Over time, you build a culture of continuous improvement. Consistency beats intensity. Here's where many leaders go wrong. They start strong, then fade. They want the 50% leap, not the 1% lift. But consistency is the ultimate competitive edge. A 1% habit repeated daily beats a 10% habit applied once a month. One small process review per week equals a fully optimized department in a year. One relationship call per day equals a powerful network in 6 months. One leadership reflection per evening equals profound clarity by next quarter. The key isn't intensity. It's frequency. Closing thoughts: build a culture of compounding excellence. If you want to build a company that lasts, you don't need more heroic effort. You need more intentional improvement. The businesses that dominate don't always move faster, they improve smarter. The leaders that win don't always shout louder, they refine daily. So, as an executive, stop swinging for the fences. Start placing 1% bricks every day. Those bricks will build the empire. Success is a few simple disciplines. Practice every day. Jim Rohn. Let's get to work. Chapter 5. Environment Design. Engineering Productive Workspaces and Cultures. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. James Clear. As an executive, you spend countless hours refining strategy, managing people, and solving problems. But what if the biggest driver of your success isn't your mindset or motivation, but your environment? Your surroundings, both physical and cultural, silently but powerfully shape your habits, decisions, and outcomes. And this doesn't just apply to you individually. It applies to your entire organization. Environment is not just where work happens, it's what makes work happen well or poorly. In this chapter, you'll learn how to engineer environments, offices, systems, cultures that make productivity, innovation, and high performance inevitable. Why environment trumps willpower. Here's the truth: even the most disciplined leaders will eventually fail in the wrong environment. If your workspace is chaotic, your thinking will be reactive. If your company culture is unclear, your team will default to self-preservation. If your systems are outdated, your goals won't matter, friction will win. The solution is not more motivation. It's better environmental design. Behavioral science tells us that people follow the path of least resistance. The best leaders make the right behaviors the easiest behaviors by shaping the environment around them. The 3 dimensions of environment for executives. To lead and scale effectively, you must intentionally shape 3 kinds of environments. 1. Physical environment, where work happens. 2. Digital environment, the tools and workflows people interact with. 3. Cultural environment, the invisible norms, energy, and expectations that drive behavior. Let's break each one down. 1. The physical environment. Optimize the space, optimize the mind. Think about your personal workspace. Is it optimized for clarity or clutter? As the leader, your space sets the tone. If your desk is buried in papers, your calendar packed to the brim, and your office uninviting, you are unconsciously signaling that chaos is normal. Small changes to physical spaces create massive behavioral ripple effects. Executive adjustments. Declutter your desk weekly. Clear space equals clear thinking. Position visual reminders, like a leadership principle or mission statement, where you work. Use environmental cues. For example, a dedicated chair for deep work or strategic thinking only. Organizational improvements. Design meeting rooms to encourage focus. Whiteboards, timers, no distractions. Create collaborative spaces for creativity and private areas for deep work. Remove unintentional friction points, broken printers, confusing signs, noisy zones. When your environment whispers excellence, people respond with excellence too. The digital environment. Eliminate friction. Enable flow. Most of your team's work happens in digital spaces: email, project management tools, chat systems, dashboards. Poorly designed digital environments destroy focus. How many times have you seen important decisions buried in endless Slack threads? 5 tools used for one purpose. Email chains that waste hours and yield zero action. You don't need more tools, you need better digital architecture. Fix it with these micro habits. Consolidate communication tools. For example, Slack for chat, Asana for projects, email for external only. Standardize file naming and storage so people aren't hunting and pecking for assets. Set boundaries. No email after 7 p.m. or no meeting deep work mornings. Use automation and templates to reduce decision fatigue and repetition. Pro tip: if people constantly ask, "Where do I find that?" or "What are we using this for?" your digital environment needs redesign. The cultural environment. Shape the air people breathe. Culture is the most powerful environment of all, and it's completely invisible. It's the unspoken message that tells people whether they can take risks or must play safe. Whether feedback is welcome or dangerous. Whether excellence is expected or optional. And here's the secret: your personal habits shape the cultural environment more than any HR memo ever will. Do you show up to meetings prepared? You build a culture of readiness. Celebrate small wins. You reinforce a culture of progress. Ask great questions instead of giving all the answers. You create a culture of ownership. Executive culture hacks. Share one failure and lesson learned in every leadership team meeting. Recognize not just results, but behaviors. For example, collaboration, innovation, empathy. Model rest, boundaries, and reflection, so your team knows they're not just allowed but expected. Culture is not built by slogans on the wall, it's shaped by what the leader normalizes daily. Executive action plan. Redesign your environment for high performance. Here's a simple system to begin. 1. Audit. Walk through your current environments. Ask, where is friction slowing us down? What's draining energy? What behaviors are we unintentionally encouraging? 2. Adjust. Make 3 to 5 micro changes this week. 1 physical. For example, declutter a space. 1 digital. For example, create a dashboard. 1 cultural. For example, recognize a team win in a new way. 3. Anchor. Repeat it until it becomes part of the system. Create habit cues. For example, Monday morning equals dashboard check-in. Reinforce the behavior with rewards or praise. Make it visible, easy, and consistent. Closing thoughts. Build the environment that builds a business. You are not just leading people. You are shaping the ecosystem they operate in. Don't leave that to chance. Great leaders don't just work hard, they design environments where hard work turns into excellence. If you want better results, stop focusing on goals. Focus on the environments that make those results automatic. Your systems reflect your strategy. Your culture reflects your leadership. Your environment reflects your habits and shapes everyone else's. Design wisely. Your legacy depends on it. Chapter 6. Keystone habits of highly successful executives. Some habits matter more than others. They start a chain reaction, changing other behaviors along the way. Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. In the world of executive leadership, not all habits are created equal. Some habits create marginal improvements. Others? They spark revolutions, not just in your personal effectiveness, but in your entire organization. These are called Keystone habits. Keystone habits are powerful because they create ripple effects across other behaviors. Reinforce your identity as a high-performing leader. Influence how others show up and perform around you. Mastering Keystone habits is like flipping a master switch. One flip doesn't just light one bulb, it illuminates the entire system. Let's explore the Keystone habits that highly successful executives consistently practice, and how you can install them in your leadership routine. What is a Keystone habit? A Keystone habit is a behavior that once established, naturally leads to the development of multiple positive habits. Think of it as the gateway habit, the one small shift that makes many others easier, more automatic, or even inevitable. In a business context, Keystone habits improve not only individual performance but often reshape culture, team dynamics, and long-term results. Examples: a daily planning ritual leads to better time management, delegation, and clarity. A commitment to health spills into better energy, presence, and decision-making. A habit of one-on-one check-ins creates a culture of trust, accountability, and feedback. 7 Keystone habits of highly successful executives. 1. Strategic planning time, 30 minutes daily. Great executives don't spend all day reacting. They start the day leading. Set aside 30 minutes each morning, before emails, meetings, or notifications, to review top 3 priorities for the day. Strategic goals for the quarter. Bottlenecks or opportunities on the horizon. This habit reinforces clarity, proactivity, and vision, and makes you harder to distract, easier to follow, and more consistent in execution. Habit cue, after morning coffee or before first meeting. Reward, calm focus and strategic alignment. 2. Weekly review and reflection. Every Friday, high-performing leaders block time to review what worked and what didn't. Track progress toward metrics. Reflect on leadership decisions and team morale. This habit encourages compound insight. Lessons learned weekly add up to wisdom that compounds over months and years. Experience isn't the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. John Maxwell. Habit cue, end of workday Friday. Reward, closure, confidence, and clarity for the next week. 3. Consistent one-on-one meetings with key team members. Great leadership doesn't happen in all-hands meetings. It happens in small, consistent conversations. Keystone executives prioritize bi-weekly or weekly one-on-ones. A balance of performance check-ins and personal connection. Listening more than speaking. This habit builds trust, accountability, and leadership bench strength. Habit cue, recurring calendar block. Reward, better morale, stronger relationships, fewer surprises. 4. Reading and learning daily. Top executives don't stop learning after earning the title. From Warren Buffett to Satya Nadella, great leaders block time daily to read, listen, or study leadership books, market trends, emerging technologies, psychology or behavior science. Even just 20 to 30 minutes a day makes a massive difference over time. Habit cue, during commute, lunch, or evening wind down. Reward, insight, inspiration, and innovative thinking. 5. Health and energy management. Your energy is your executive edge. Exercise, hydration, sleep, and mindfulness aren't just personal luxuries, they're leadership multipliers. A 20-minute walk clears the mind. A 7-hour sleep leads to sharper decisions. Deep breathing between meetings reduces tension and reactionary behavior. Great leaders don't just manage time, they manage capacity. Habit cue, schedule workouts like meetings. Reward, sustainable focus, presence, and energy. 6. Delegation and empowerment habit. Micromanagers burn out. Empowering leaders scale. Keystone executives ask daily, what can I let go of today, and who can grow by taking it? The habit of daily delegation not only frees your bandwidth, it multiplies your leadership across the organization. Use a simple method. Identify one task to delegate daily. Communicate the outcome, not just the activity. Offer support, not control. Habit cue, end of daily planning time. Reward, time savings, trust, and team development. 7. Recognition and celebration habit. What gets recognized gets repeated. Top executives make it a habit to acknowledge wins in team meetings. Send quick thank you messages. Highlight positive behaviors, not just results. Recognition reinforces culture. When you make celebration habitual, motivation becomes organic, not forced. Habit cue, end of meeting or Friday wrap-up. Reward, higher morale, deeper loyalty, Sustained excellence. The compound power of Keystone habits. Each of these habits alone creates small advantages. But together, they form a leadership flywheel. Strategic thinking improves decisions. Reflection boosts learning. Delegation frees time. Recognition builds culture. Health maintains energy. Learning sharpens your edge. One-on-ones build loyalty. Keystone habits don't just add value, they multiply it across dimensions. How to install a Keystone habit? 1. Start with identity. Ask, what kind of leader do I want to become? Choose one habit that aligns with that identity. 2. Make it obvious and easy. Stack it onto an existing routine. For example, review goals during coffee. Remove friction. Keep journal or checklist nearby. 3. Celebrate and track progress. Use a simple habit tracker. Reflect weekly on the ripple effect. 4. Involve others. Share your habit with an accountability partner or your assistant. Build habits into team rituals. For example, starting meetings with wins. Closing thoughts. Build the habits that build the leader. Your business will never outperform your leadership. Your leadership will never outperform your habits. Keystone habits are not glamorous. They are not loud. But they are leverage points that transform individuals, organizations, and outcomes. Excellence is not an act, it is a habit, Aristotle. So choose your Keystone habits wisely. Commit to them daily. And let them build the leader and the legacy you are meant to create. Chapter 7. Breaking Bad Business Habits. How to eliminate inefficiency. The best way to stop a bad habit is to make it unsatisfying, unattractive, and hard to continue. James Clear. If good habits create success, bad habits silently sabotage it. In business, these bad habits rarely come with warning signs. They disguise themselves as how we've always done it. They hide in comfort zones, justify themselves with excuses like we're too busy to fix this, or worse, get normalized as company culture. As an executive, your job is not only to build systems that scale, but also to dismantle systems that stall. This chapter is about detecting, disrupting, and replacing inefficient behaviors, both in yourself and your organization, before they cost you time, morale, and money. The truth about bad business habits. Bad habits aren't usually born from bad intentions. They're born from repetition, convenience, and lack of scrutiny. Examples of bad executive or organizational habits: sitting through pointless weekly meetings because we always have. Micromanaging instead of mentoring. Overcommitting instead of delegating. Ignoring data and relying on gut decisions. Reacting emotionally to stress or setbacks. Checking emails all day without boundaries. Delaying feedback until it's too late. These aren't just annoying quirks, they are efficiency killers that drain your company's potential. Breaking them starts with a mindset shift. If it doesn't serve a mission, it doesn't deserve repetition. Step 1. Identify the invisible habits costing you. You can't fix what you don't see. Begin by asking, what habits do I repeat that don't drive results? What activities consume time but rarely move the needle? What inefficiencies are my team tolerating without complaint? Audit yourself and your organization in the following areas. 1. Time. How is your time actually spent? 2. Meetings. Which recurring meetings lack purpose or results? 3. Communication. Where are there bottlenecks, overload, or unclear chains? 4. Decision making. Are there delays or emotional triggers? 5. Culture. Are there behaviors you reward that contradict your stated values? The most dangerous habits are the ones nobody questions, especially the ones you reinforce unconsciously. Step 2. Use the 4 inversion laws of habit change. Inspired by James Clear's habit breaking framework, here's how to reverse engineer bad habits. 1. Make it invisible. Out of sight equals out of habit. Remove cues and triggers. Archive distracting apps or tabs. Hide data dashboards that lead to micromanaging. Turn off notifications after working hours. 2. Make it unattractive. Associate the bad habit with real, visible consequences. Track the cost of poor decisions or wasted meetings. Share the negative ripple effect of bad behavior on team morale. Highlight the friction it causes in customer experience. Example, if late reporting led to client churn, make that visible to the entire team. 3. Make it difficult. Increase the effort required to repeat the bad habit. Add an approval step before certain actions. Require reflection before making impulsive decisions. Block access to time-wasting tools during deep work periods. Make bad habits friction heavy. 4. Make it unsatisfying. Build accountability and consequences. Publicly commit to stopping a habit. Share metrics weekly with your leadership team. Assign a peer to check in on your behavioral goals. Pain and accountability are powerful disruptors. Step 3. Replace, don't just remove. Bad habits leave a void. If you don't replace them, they return. Always design a replacement habit that aligns with your desired identity or results. Examples: replace constant email checking with scheduled communication blocks. Replace reactive decisions with a decision checklist and 24-hour rule. Replace defaulting to meetings with async updates and clear SOPs. Replace status-focused leadership with servant leadership behaviors. You're not just breaking a habit, you're rewiring an operating system. Step 4. Create a habit-breaking system for your leadership. Here's a simple weekly ritual. Every Friday, ask, what habit slowed me or my team down this week? What was the cue or trigger behind it? What environment enabled it? What better behavior can replace it next week? Create a bad habit burn list, one habit to eliminate each month. Track your progress with reflections or a leadership coach. When habit breaking becomes a habit, you evolve faster than the competition. Watch out, the 3 most common executive habit traps. 1. Hero syndrome, doing everything yourself to feel needed. Replace with delegation and trust building rituals. 2. Urgency addiction, reacting instead of planning. Replace with strategic time blocks and weekly planning. 3. Feedback delay, avoiding hard conversations. Replace with real-time feedback loops and radical candor. These traps don't just limit your impact, they scale dysfunction. Closing thoughts. Success isn't just about what you add, it's about what you subtract. The sign of a great executive isn't just what they do, it's what they've stopped doing. Break the habits that break your growth. Disrupt the patterns that drain your culture. Replace inefficiency with intentionality. Because in leadership, subtraction creates scale. Let go of what no longer serves you, and you'll finally lead like the version of yourself you were meant to become. Chapter 8, Making Good Habits Inevitable. Automation, delegation, and habit stacking. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. James Clear. In today's business world of business leadership, consistency is your secret weapon. But here's the truth. Even great habits fail when they depend solely on willpower. Willpower is a muscle, and like any muscle, it gets tired. That's why the most successful executives don't rely on motivation alone. They build systems that make good habits automatic, easy, and inevitable. In this chapter, you'll learn how to automate success with smart tools and routines. Delegate wisely to free up your time and energy. Stack habits to create momentum that compounds. This is the science of sustainable excellence. Why you need to systematize your habits. Let's face it, as an executive, you're pulled in 1,000 directions. If a habit requires daily effort to remember, it eventually breaks down. That's why elite performers focus on environment and system design, not heroic discipline. Their secret? They create invisible engines, structures that run with or without them. So let's dive into 3 habit accelerators that make high performance behaviors stick for life. Part 1. Automation. Let systems think for you. Automation means removing the need to decide or remember. When something happens automatically, you save time, mental energy, decision fatigue. Examples of executive habit automation: calendar time blocking. Your strategic time, reading time, or one-on-ones are scheduled and protected. Auto-generated reports. Weekly KPIs land in your inbox at 7 a.m. Monday, no reminders needed. Email filters and templates. Common replies or requests are pre-written and triggered instantly. Recurring tasks in project tools, SOPs, team huddles, and feedback loops live inside the system. Automation equals consistency at scale. Start with this automation checklist. What do I repeat daily or weekly that can be scheduled or preset? What notifications do I need to silence? What reports, messages, or reviews can be automatically triggered? Remember, automation doesn't remove responsibility, it removes friction. Part 2. Delegation. Build habits through others. If you're doing everything yourself, your habits can't scale. Delegation is not about dumping work. It's about transferring ownership of outcomes and using people power to make good habits collective. Anything that must be done more than once should be delegated, systemized, or eliminated. Habit delegation examples for executives. Assign your EA to prep your morning priorities report. Have your team lead own weekly retrospectives. Delegate internal newsletter drafts to your comms team. Ask HR to monitor and report on culture KPIs, for example, team morale, feedback frequency. The benefit. You create a team-wide rhythm where essential behaviors repeat, even if you're on vacation. Delegation turns your personal habits into company habits. Part 3. Habit stacking. Tie new habits to existing anchors. One of the most powerful behavior design methods is habit stacking, introduced by James Clear. The principle is simple. After current habit, I will, new habit. This works because it links the unfamiliar to the familiar, riding the wave of existing momentum. Executive examples. After my first coffee I will review today's top 3 priorities. After my weekly team meeting I will send a follow-up summary within 10 minutes. After checking my calendar at 9 a.m. I will block 1 hour of deep work. After every client call I will record a 2-minute reflection note. You're not creating new time, you're restructuring old time. How to build your first stack. 1. Identify one habit you already do consistently. For example, open laptop, start a Zoom call, drink coffee. 2. Choose a small, high leverage habit you want to install. 3. Use the formula, after I, existing habit, I will, new habit. 4. Keep it simple, execution over complexity. Over time, these stacks build routines that run like clockwork. Executive habit design template. Want to make any habit stick? Use this 3-layered system. Layer, automation. Description, use tools to remove decision making. Example for executives. Calendar block for strategic thinking at 8 a.m. daily. Layer, delegation. Description, assign responsibility to someone else. Example for executives. Assistant sends daily briefing and follow-ups. Layer, habit stacking. Description, tie to something you already do. Example for executives. After checking email, journal one leadership insight. Stack them together for exponential power. Closing thoughts. Don't force it, forge it. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Success in business isn't just about big decisions. It's about the systems you create to make good decisions automatic. If you're tired of inconsistency, start installing invisible engines. Automate your rhythms. Delegate your routines. Stack your habits. Because the best version of you doesn't just show up. It's designed. Daily. Let's make excellence your default setting. Chapter 9. The role of culture. Turning personal habits into organizational norms. Your habits shape your identity. In organizations, they shape the culture. James Clear inspired. Culture isn't built in the boardroom. It's built in the micro habits of the people who show up every day. And no one sets those patterns more powerfully, or more quietly, than the executive. In this chapter, we'll explore how to go beyond personal discipline and create a culture where the right behaviors become natural, expected, and shared. Because when personal habits scale into cultural norms, the entire organization begins to operate like a high-performance machine. What is culture, really? Culture is not your mission statement. It's not your brand colors. Culture is what people repeatedly do when no one is watching. In business, culture is defined by what gets rewarded, what gets tolerated, what people copy from leadership. If you want a culture of accountability, but you constantly delay hard conversations, you'll build a culture of avoidance. If you want innovation, but punish failure, you'll get fear. If you want ownership, but micromanage, you'll get disengagement. So, the question becomes, what are the daily habits you model, and how are they shaping your company's identity? The culture cascade, how habits become norms. Culture starts with you. Your habits shape leadership team habits, shape department rituals, shape employee behaviors and shape customer experience. This is what we call the culture cascade, the ripple effect of one leader's behavior multiplying across the entire organization. Let's break it down. 1. Personal habit. You begin each day with focused planning and clear priorities. 2. Team imitation. Your direct reports start blocking planning time and clarifying priorities. 3. Department ritual. Teams begin running more focused meetings and using daily stand-ups. 4. Org-wide norm. Focus and intentionality become part of the company's DNA. This is how a private practice becomes a public culture. Turning personal habits into cultural systems. If you want to scale your best habits into company-wide norms, follow these 3 steps. 1. Make the habit visible. People can't replicate what they can't observe. You must lead by visible example. Want a culture of learning? Share what you're reading during team calls. Want accountability? Publicly review your own goals and progress. Want deep work? Block out no meeting hours on your calendar, and defend them. Visibility creates permission and expectation. When a leader models a habit, it becomes contagious. When they systemize it, it becomes culture. 2. Codify it into rituals. Habits scale when they become shared rituals, not just personal practices. Examples: morning syncs with a top 1 priority roundtable. Weekly wins shared in a Slack channel. Monthly failure retrospectives that normalize experimentation. Quarterly reflection days for leaders and teams. These rituals reinforce the values you want to see repeated. Want a culture of feedback? Ritualize it. Want ownership? Ritualize reflection and self-accountability. Want innovation? Ritualize brainstorming or idea pitching time. Rituals make the habit belong to the team, not just the leader. 3. Reward the behavior, not just the result. What you recognize becomes what people repeat. Too many executives reward outcomes, sales targets, product launches, financial milestones, and forget to reward the behaviors that lead to those outcomes. Want a habit-driven culture? Celebrate proactive communication, thoughtful decision-making, cross-functional collaboration, ownership of problems. Create space to publicly say, here's the kind of behavior that builds this company. Over time, people will adjust not just to get praise, but to align with what the culture values. How to install habit-based culture in your company. Use this simple framework to scale personal excellence into company-wide behavior. Step Action 1. Model practice the habit yourself consistently. 2. Message communicate why the habit matters to your mission. 3. Ritualize embed it into team routines or structures. 4. Recognize reward those who practice it, visibly and frequently. 5. Reflect review what's working, and adapt to scale naturally. Remember, what you normalize becomes culture. Watch out, culture is built by default or by design. If you don't intentionally shape your organizational habits, they'll be shaped anyway, often by inertia, personalities, pressure, crisis. That's why habit awareness is crucial at the executive level. Start asking, what are the silent habits driving our culture right now? Are they helping or hurting performance, morale, and mission? What can I do this week to model, ritualize, and reward a better one? Closing thoughts. Culture is not what you say, it's what you consistently do. Your personal habits are the blueprint. Your leadership team is the amplifier. Your rituals are the coders. Your recognition is the fuel. If you want to build a resilient, high-performing, future-proof company, don't start with strategy. Start with small habits that scale into culture. Because when excellence becomes a norm, your organization becomes unstoppable. Chapter 10. The compounding effect, how tiny habits create massive business results over time. Habits are the interest you earn on the investment of your behavior, James Clear. If there's one secret every high-performing executive should understand, it's this: small habits, done consistently, yield extraordinary results. Not overnight. Not dramatically. But inevitably, if they are repeated with intention over time. This is the compounding effect in action. The same principle that builds wealth in finance builds momentum in leadership, culture, innovation, and business growth. The power of tiny improvements. Imagine this: if you improve just 1% per day, compounded over a year, you'll be 37 times better by year's end. That's not theory, that's mathematics. But here's the kicker: if you decline by just 1% each day, you don't land at mediocrity. You land at zero. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. For executives, this means one small improvement to your decision-making process multiplies across departments. A 15-minute reflection habit improves your clarity, which improves your strategy, which improves your results. A small but consistent recognition ritual transforms culture over time. It's not about massive overhauls. It's about building unseen momentum. Why compounding is so hard to see. Most leaders give up on habits not because they don't work, but because they don't work fast enough. We live in a culture that celebrates the breakthrough but ignores the build-up. Here's the reality: in the beginning, good habits don't look like they're working. Results are often delayed, but progress is happening below the surface. What feels like a plateau is really the foundation being poured. This is called the valley of latent potential, the quiet, invisible phase where consistency matters most. The most successful leaders are the ones who stick with the process long enough for the compound effect to take hold. The compound effect in executive practice. Let's examine how small, repeated actions create exponential results in key areas of business leadership. 1. Decision making. Tiny habit. Spend 10 minutes each day reflecting on a key decision made, and the logic behind it. Compounded result: sharper, faster, and more strategic decisions over time, reducing costly errors too. Culture building. Tiny habit. Send one message of appreciation or recognition to a team member each day. Compounded result: a culture of appreciation, engagement, and high morale, which directly impacts performance. 3. Time management. Tiny habit. Begin every day by identifying your single most important task. Compounded result: days that align with top priorities, increasing effectiveness and reducing burnout. 4. Team development. Tiny habit. Ask one meaningful question in every one-on-one meeting. Compounded result: stronger relationships, more loyal employees, and a deeply engaged team. 5. Learning and innovation. Tiny habit. Read for 15 minutes or consume one insight daily. Compounded result: a knowledge base that evolves with the market, driving innovation and foresight. Compound interest versus compound damage. Compounding is a neutral force. It works for you or against you. Consider the executive who skips journaling because it's only one day, postpones difficult conversations until next week, ignores employee feedback because they'll be fine. Each of these decisions feels harmless in the moment, but each one compounds over weeks and months into a crisis of clarity, trust, and morale. Just as tiny good habits create exponential progress, tiny bad habits create exponential cost. So ask yourself regularly, what am I compounding, progress or problems? Executive Habit Compounding Framework. To harness the compound effect intentionally, use this framework. 1. Identify your leverage habits. Which small habits would, if done consistently, change your leadership over 6 to 12 months? Examples: 15 minutes of deep planning per day. Writing one thank you note a week. Delegating one task daily. Listening for 2 minutes longer in every meeting too. Start small, stay consistent. Don't scale up too quickly. Habits grow best when they're easy enough to start and sustainable enough to repeat. 3. Track your streaks. Measurement builds momentum. Use a simple tracker to record habit streaks and review your progress monthly. 4. Reflect on results quarterly. Don't expect visible transformation weekly. Review every 90 days and ask, what habits are paying off? What's working invisibly? What adjustments should I make? Closing thoughts. Master the math of greatness. Success is rarely the result of one massive action. It's the result of tiny actions, repeated relentlessly. The most elite leaders don't chase hacks. They design their habits, commit to the process, and let time do what time does best, amplify what's repeated. So the question isn't, how fast can I grow? It's, what am I compounding every day, and will I be proud of the result a year from now? Choose your inputs wisely. Your legacy is being built one habit at a time. Epilogue. Becoming the kind of executive who changes everything. Success is not a goal to reach, but a system to live by. James Clear inspired. You've now journeyed through the atomic foundations of high-impact leadership, from identity to systems, from culture to compounding. And if there's one truth that echoes through it all, it's this: great executives aren't built by giant leaps. They're forged through small, intentional actions done consistently over time. In a world that celebrates overnight success and breakthrough moments, we now understand the quiet truth of sustainable excellence. It's not about what you do occasionally. It's about what you do habitually. The real difference maker, who you're becoming. You don't need to copy another CEO's strategies. You need to build habits that align with the kind of leader you choose to become. Do you want to be a clear and decisive strategist? Practice daily clarity rituals. Do you want to be an empowering leader? Make delegation and feedback your second nature. Do you want to build a company that outlasts trends? Design a culture where excellence is automatic. It all comes down to identity-based habit design. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of executive you are becoming. The real work begins now. Knowledge without action is entertainment. But knowledge with commitment becomes power. So here's your challenge as you close this audiobook. Pick one habit you will start practicing today. Make it small, obvious, and easy to repeat. Track it. Share it. Stick with it. Watch it grow into something bigger than you imagined. You don't need to overhaul your life or organization overnight. You just need to begin. Then repeat. The most powerful force in business leadership is consistency with intention. Final words. Lead like a system. Grow like a compound. In a distracted, chaotic, noisy world, the leaders who rise are those who slow down to build the right habits, the right systems, and the right culture, one atomic choice at a time. This is how you build not just a better business, but a better legacy. So, step forward with confidence. Start small. Stay consistent. And let the power of atomic habits unlock the executive and enterprise you were born to build. This is atomic leadership. Now go change everything, one tiny habit at a time.